What's going on, guys? I've got this really cool bottle here to share with you today that we dug last weekend at that River House spot. And this is the Munyon's homeopathic home remedies bottle, probably from the 1890s, in line with the other bottles we're getting at that location. And what I find really interesting about this bottle is just homeopathic medicine in general and its popularity in the 19th century. So if you aren't familiar with homeopathic medicine, I think a lot of times people get it confused with either being the counterpart to allopathic medicine, which is modern Western medicine with standardized pharmaceuticals, surgery, and so forth would fall under allopathic medicine. So they might think it's the opposite of that. And some people also conflate it with herbalism or traditional medicine, which is the use of medicinal plants and things like fungi and even animal products like honey in order to cure ailments or for general well-being. But homeopathic medicine is actually a whole field of its own that's fairly modern. It was started in the 1700s in Germany, and the idea behind it was that like treats like. So, for example, let's say that you had a high fever and you started to feel really hot and started to sweat. Maybe under homeopathic medicine, you would use a concoction of hot peppers to help treat that, as hot peppers will make you feel hot and sweaty. So like treats like. But where it gets really interesting is there was a common belief with homeopathic medicine that the more dilute the concentration was, that the more effective it was at curing your ailments. So in other words, the more watered down, or in this case, this was probably an alcohol-based solution, the more alcohol and the less of that original substance, in this instance we're saying peppers, is in this bottle, the more effective it was. I find this really interesting. So what they believe they were doing here is you would be left with very little of that substance, but by shaking it up before you ingested it, it would remember what it is and tell your body, essentially trigger your body to cure itself. So in other words, you're just using this to kind of tell your body what your problem is and how to cure it. So I find just it's really interesting, and a lot of people found it effective. I'm not sure I would use it to try to cure myself, but I wonder if it was just a very strong placebo effect or there's something else going on here, but just very interesting. And Munyon sold, I mean, you could cure anything from arthritis to whooping cough or malaria, you named it. They had a different concoction for you. So just really interesting stuff. Very cool bottle.